Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be filming my 2021 wrap-up in books. So I'm basically just going to be talking about all the books that I've read this year and my thoughts, and I'll go over the summaries like really quickly on what each book is about. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video and let's get on into it. Okay, so before I get into the list of books, I'm just gonna quickly do like a summary of how many books I read and like how many pages it equated to and stuff like that. So yeah, so just quickly, I read 31 books in 2021. My goal was 30 books, so I did reach my goal. I'm pretty proud of myself. I know it's only 31 books and so many people read that same amount within like 2 months, but I need to start somewhere, so yeah. And then the total amount of pages that I read was 10,919 pages. The shortest book that I read was Love Letters of Great Men, and then the longest book was From Blood and Ash. And my average rating for all 30 books that I read this year was 3.7 out of 5, which I feel like is a decent rating. I don't know why, but it's so hard for me to, okay, well, not so hard, that's a little bit, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it is not easy for me to read books, not because I care about the author's feelings or anything like that. That sounds really cold-hearted, but I mean, authors are open to criticism, and just keep in mind, hate and criticism are two different things. So I'm not like hating on any books, but I genuinely just like don't know what my level of like this is a perfect book is. I think to me, a 5 out of 5 stars is just like a book where I feel something, and then anything that's less than 5 stars is usually like not books that I'll remember forever. Maybe I'm telling you guys, it's so difficult for me to know what my rating scale is, but I'll usually have like a number in my head by the time I'm done with the book, and I'll be like, and I'll just know what number to rate it, but there's no like specific quality for me. Obviously like a 1 or 2 I didn't like that much. A 3 is like, it's okay, like I was entertained but I didn't like feel anything. And then 4 is like, wow, this book was really good, but it's not like it's something that's gonna be in my heart and mind for forever, like I'm just gonna think about it all the time. And then 5 is like that really like life-changing book that I read. So that's kind of like, I guess that was a pretty good explanation of how I rate my books. But yeah, and this was like my first year like rating books and getting on Goodreads and everything. Like I've known that Goodreads has existed for a long time, but this is my first year like actually using it. And let me tell you, it's such a good tool to help you stay consistent. I love it. It's so funny because right when people started getting off of Goodreads and going on to the other book app, I don't remember what it's called at all, but a few people have talked about it. And it's so funny because right when I got into Goodreads, everyone was like leaving Goodreads and going on to this other app, but I just got into it, so I'm just gonna stay on Goodreads. So if you want to follow my Goodreads, I'll have my username up here, mainly because I don't even know what my own username is. So let's get into the first book. So the first book that I read this year was Love Letters of Great Men, which is a pretty easy start because it's short and it's easy to read and get through. So this is the first volume. I don't know how many there are, but yeah, it's basically just love letters written by men, and it has anyone from like Winston Churchill to Mark Twain to Dylan Thomas to Voltaire, and some of them are even like letters written to like, what are they called, where's the word, like mistresses, which I thought was really interesting. Not all of them are written to like wives, and I think there might be some in here like written to like daughters and stuff like that. So it's really really interesting to see how love letters were written back in the day. Like it's so interesting. It's also not placed in the book in like yearly order. It's like jumping around, so it's just really interesting to see like how people wrote in like the 1950s versus the 1850s or something like that. So it's interesting. It was interesting. Not like my favorite book ever, but it was still pretty good. So I was really into like a romance phase at the beginning of the year. I rated it 5 stars. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that, because I don't even remember half the letters written in here. I don't remember half of them. I need to reread this. I will reread this in the future and like annotate it and like tab the pages of the letters that I like the most. I don't know why I rated it 5 stars. Looking back, I wouldn't want to rate this anything, because it's a book that I want to reread and see like how many of them I liked and how many of them like I just didn't care for, and based on that I would rate the book. But I guess at the time maybe I really liked it, so I rated 5 stars. I don't know. I told you guys I was in a romance mood this year, but it's just, I feel like a rating that we should just put aside for a moment, because I definitely want to reread this and I'll probably re-rate it. So definitely not like a permanent rating by any means. The second book that I read was Dear Evan Hansen, written by 3 different authors. Some of them are really hard to read. I'm just gonna take the jacket cover off because it can get annoying, but this is what the inside of the cover looks like. The naked book, it just has like a little tree and then Dear Evan Hansen on the side. This was a pretty good book. I did really like this. I really want to see this in Broadway. I feel like it would be just such an emotional thing to see like with their own eyes, because the book itself is really emotional. So basically Evan Hansen is this guy who's like struggling with mental health issues, and there's this encounter that happens in Evan's school with Evan and this other kid, and this kid ends up taking Evan's letter that wasn't meant for him to read, if that makes any sense. So basically Evan was writing this letter to himself because his therapist recommended it, but instead this letter got in the hands of this guy who's known as like a bully, but you know, he has his own reasons, and it's just like the story just unravels from there. I don't really want to spoil it, so I'm not gonna like talk about like what happens after that and who this other guy is and like stuff like that. But I think it's just a really beautiful book about like friendship, and I guess like even like just the consequences of your actions, because there is a huge part of this book is a big lie that Evan ends up telling people. I'm not going to tell you what the lie is, but he makes up this lie, and it just kind of snowballs and gets bigger it just gets bigger and bigger. And so it's like the consequences of that, and again, mental health. It's just like different relationships. Yeah, it's a really, I really like this book. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, so the third book that I'm going to be talking about is Dear Girls by Ali Wong. So I actually listened to this on audio through Libby. I loaned it out, and it's basically just her, like a book of her life and her experiences, but it's written in a way where it's like a letter to her daughters. So yeah, the full title of the book is Dear Girls, Intimate Tales, Untold Secrets, and Advice for Living Your Best Life. I thought this was a decent book. I don't know why, but it's so hard for me to get into like self-help books. I just find so many of them like really cheesy, and the advice just doesn't stick in my head. I know this is not like necessarily self-help, but even stuff like this where it's like an autobiography, it just I don't know. I guess it like depends on the person, because the only other autobiography that I read, or I've read like a couple other ones, but the only other one that I've read that actually has stuck in my head is Becoming by Michelle Obama. So this one was like good, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I need to go around and talk to everyone about this book kind of a thing. Whereas like Becoming by Michelle Obama, I would literally recommend to anyone and everyone. So yeah, I mean, go for it if this is your style of books, because it has like comedy mixed in with like, you know, a memoir type like storytelling thing, and she is a comedian, so she is funny, but you know, it also depends on like what your comedy style is. So yeah, and she's very, like, one thing I really did appreciate is that she's very, very truthful about her experiences. There's like no sugarcoating anything, and also she's lived a pretty like full life, if I say so myself. Like it's pretty fun to like read about like all these like crazy things that people have done in their lives, and it's like, wow, you sound like you lived like 10 lives. So yeah, that's another interesting aspect of this book. It was fun, but did not change my life by any means. The fourth book that I listened to that everyone has been talking about is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I feel like everyone and their mom is talking about this. I was just listening to a podcast episode of, I'll put the podcast here, of the author of this book, who is Talia Hibbert, and I think people just really appreciate this book because, okay, so like the representation of the chronic illness that Chloe is facing in this book is not written in a way where it's like, pity me, boo-hoo, like I have this chronic illness and I need a man to come see me. Like, it's not that. In fact, it's like quite the opposite. But she's basically just, this book is basically just Chloe being like, I think she had went through like a recent breakup or something, I don't know. There's like a list that she writes of all the things that she wants to do to get a life and like live a more like exciting life. And throughout that process, she meets a guy named Red, and he kind of helps her with some of these things, and it's kind of like their love story. Very, very cute. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. I know a lot of people like are obsessed with this book and rated it like 5 out of 5 stars, but I don't know, for some reason it didn't like fulfill me. But I still really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm also pretty critical, not cryptical, oh my god, critical of my romances, because I don't like, I feel like when I was younger I used to be so much more of a hopeless romantic. Like I used to watch so many romance movies, but like my early teenage years, but now I'm like, I don't care. Slash I need something like really amazing for me to love it, and there are very few things that I've read or that I've watched that make me feel that way. Yeah, I don't know why. Romance is just really difficult for me because I'm just not that easily impressed by it. I swear like my heart has shrinked in size or something, because I don't know, I would swoon so easily, you guys, but I don't care anymore. So that's another thing. So that probably played a part in my rating. But don't worry, there's so many more romances to come. I don't know why I read so many this year, because I didn't even care about like being in a relationship or anything. Like that wasn't something that I was like sad about or anything like that. Like obviously everyone wants to find love and stuff like that, but it's not like something that I was actively thinking about. So yeah. Okay, next book. So what are we on? The 5th book? I don't know, I'm probably gonna lose count. I think 5th book. Sorry if I keep looking down. I have my laptop with me with my Goodreads opened because I'm using my phone right now to film, and I can't like use the Goodreads app on my phone, so I need to use my laptop or else I would literally forget all of the books that I read this year. The 5th book that I read was, oh god. Okay, Girl Stop Apologizing, A Shame-Free Plan for Embracing and Achieving Your Goals by Rachel Hollis. Guys, why did I read this book? I don't know, but I wasted so much time reading this book. Okay, the audiobook wasn't that long. Like, I think I didn't purchase it. I mean, it wasn't even in my mind to purchase it, but like, what? Why did I do this to myself? It's honestly the peak of a white feminist book. It's like feminism on the very surface, and oh my god, it was just like probably the worst like woman empowerment like feminist book I've ever read. I mean, like, not that I expected a lot because it is written by like a white woman, but and I always go in with like wariness, I guess. So like I wasn't expecting that much, but like I didn't think it could get that bad, but there's like, I don't know why, but this particular part in the book, there are obviously other bad parts in the books, but there's one particular part in the book that like stands out to me where she compares like a person gaining weight to either an animal or like a couch potato. I think it was an animal of some sort, and that just like rubbed me the wrong way, because like, who are you to judge someone else's body? Also, gaining weight is not a bad thing. So yeah, just absolutely not. I had more books of this author like in my TBR, and I just like took them all out because I was like, I just don't care. I don't care. So yeah, that was literally a 1-star book. The next book that I read, the 6th book, is The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. I had to read this for a crime in American film and literature class, and I rated 4 out of 5 stars. I actually really like this, and we watched the movie too, and I liked the movie as well. It's just a really classic like crime story, very old Hollywood. This is like a really old book. Basically, there's this character named Sam Spade who is hired by Miss Wonderly to track down her sister who has gone missing, and they're suspecting she eloped with another man. And this Miss Wonderly is like a really beautiful woman and like deceiving in some sort, so it's like, is she telling the truth? Like, who is she really? Like, there's like a murder that happens during this investigation, so it's kind of also like a whodunit story. So yeah, best book. So really interesting. I think reading old literature can be like really refreshing, honestly, but I guess it depends on the book, because some of them can be really frustrating and annoying to read, not just because of the type of English that is written, but also just like, if the story doesn't connect with you, then it doesn't connect with you. So I know in high school, like, a lot of people are forced to read like classic literature novels, and because we are forced to, like, we end up not liking it. But if you just give some of those books a reread, like afterwards, like a few years later, you could like really absorb like the importance of such books, especially like, I get like some of the great ones are like Great Gatsby, what the fuck, Great Gatsby, and The Picture of Dorian Gray, and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I mean, that one's problematic. I mean, I guess which classic literature book isn't problematic, but yeah, I would recommend like reading classic literature like a few years after you've graduated high school. If you're not going into like any literature classes in college, I feel like you might have a change of heart. I don't know. Classic literature is not for everyone, but I feel like it is important to read, especially if you are into literature. It could be helpful because kind of like the blueprint of so many great books these days and films, so if you're into that, check it out. But the next book that I read, I actually listened to, was The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. So this was such a beautiful book to listen to. I kind of want the actual book because the cover is so stunning, but also because like the book itself, like whatever is in the book, is also really important to read about. So it's basically a boy who is coming to terms with his identity, and he's a mixed race gay teenager. He goes to university and he finds the art of drag, and he gets into that a little bit, and also possible love interest, and I think it's also written in verse. So yeah, it's basically just him like spreading his wings and like showing the world like how unique he is and how like proud he is to be unique, and like the journey it takes to get there. Very, very inspirational, you know, like even if you don't identify with his identity, I guess, like this lesson still applies to everyone in any way. So yeah, it was a really stunning read. I think it's in verse. I can't remember, but I think it is. So yeah, I rated that 5 out of 5 stars because like the way that it was written was really, really touching. The next book that I read was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. So this book is actually, or this series is supposed to be like, not like spin-off, what's the word for it, like similar, like another version of like Harry Potter kind of, but it's not like exactly Harry Potter, but it's basically like almost like a I want to say almost because it's more professional than a fanfic. I'm sorry if you're right, like what about fanfics, but it's a little bit more refined, I should say, than just like a Wattpad fanfic. But it's basically like, imagine what would happen if like Malfoy and Harry were gay, and like that's the book basically. No, there's so much more to it, but it is like, it might sound like really strange, but it's actually like so good. Yeah, I know Rainbow Rowell has written some other stuff like Eleanor and Park, I think, but I never got into those books. So yeah, but this series I really enjoyed, especially the first one. The first one was such an adventure. Simon Snow is supposed to be like Harry, like the chosen one, and then Baz is like a vampire, and he's supposed to be like the brooding, like Malfoy, like bad boy kind of. And basically they're like staying in a dorm together, in halls, I guess is how you say it in like British. But oh my god, I'm like literally so dead, you guys. But sorry for like touching my hair a lot. I don't know why I'm doing that, but basically he's staying in a dorm with Baz. Like Simon and Baz are staying together, and they have this like hate to love like attraction, but like they're not, like none of them are out. So it's just like, what is this feeling that we have towards each other, slash they're like both like pretending to like hate each other. Just know that they hate each other, but it's like for a reason. It's not just like, oh my god, we hate each other, like petty stuff. It's like for a serious reason. So yeah, but then things happen and they have to like team up together, and their relationship kind of grows into something else, and they had like a misunderstanding between them as well that is unraveled. And yeah, it's a really cute book, and it's very adventurous and entertaining. So I rated this 5 out of 5 stars. I really like this one. Okay, I listened to that on audio as well. I don't know if I said that. The next book that I listened to is You Should See Me in a Crown, written by Leah Johnson, which I also really love this book. Liz Leidy has always believed she's too black, too poor, too awkward to shine in her small, rich, prom-obsessed Midwestern town. But it's okay, Liz has a plan that will get her out of Campbell, Indiana forever. Attend the uber elite Pennington College, play in their world-famous orchestra, and become a doctor. So basically, that's just like a glimpse of the book. She's entering in this competition because she needs money to go to college, and the competition is like whoever wins like prom queen gets a scholarship. So she's up against this other girl, and like things might happen between her and this girl. And this is also another like coming of age romance book. It wasn't like cheesy, it was actually like pretty cute and not cringy. So also, not all my 5-star ratings have to be like life-changing, I guess. I should probably have said that in the beginning. Something can be like books that I just like really enjoyed, that it's like I can't give this a 4-star because it would just be a crime to give this book a 4-star because it was just like too fun to read or something like that, or like the journey was just too good. Kind of like Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Like it's not like the most like artistic piece of literature that's like the best quality, the best written book ever, obviously, but it still was like super fun. So yeah, the next book, oh wait, no, this is not the one that I enjoyed a lot. Never mind. There's another book that I really liked that I read for my American crime and literature class, but I will talk about that later. But I read In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, which is also a film, I believe, and I think we watched the film as well. But this is basically based on like, I think it's based on a true story of like a family that was a family of like five members. It's a family of 5, but 4 members of the family were murdered, I think. So one is alive, I believe. So it's basically like why were these people murdered and like what happened, because they were a family that were known to be really like nice to everyone. They didn't really have like any issues with anyone. So it's just like, and they just kind of like minded their own business. So people are like, why out of everyone like them? And there was like no motive for the crime or anything. So it's also like the book is also written from their like the murderer's point of view, which is really interesting. That I gave 3 out of 5 stars because it was entertaining, but like at times I was like, can I be done with this book? So, oh, maybe that one didn't have a movie. Never mind. I don't think that one had a movie. Never mind. Okay, this next one is a one that I like, my favorite one that I read in my crime and literature class, and it's 3/5 by John Bircher. Okay, 3/5 by John Bircher. I also have In Cold Blood right here. Why didn't I hold these up? And I also have The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. Let's talk about 3/5 by John Bircher. This is like the most recent. This is like not an old novel at all. This was written, when was this written? I think like sometime definitely in the 2000s, but why doesn't it say when it was like published? It's so weird. Okay, anyways, so I read this book 5 out of 5 stars. Basically, this book is about a biracial black man passing for white who is forced to confront the lies of his past while facing the truth of his present when his best friend, just released from prison, involves him in a hate crime. Yeah, very interesting plot. There's like so much to discuss about this book. Like, I hate seminars, but I would love to have a seminar about this book because there's just so much discussion about people who are white passing and the privileges that come with that. Also hate crime, also just Black Lives Matter in general. Also the importance of mass incarceration, or like not the importance of, but like the fact that mass incarceration is a problem. And also there's a relationship between like a father and son relationship in here. Like, it was very, like, I don't know, that was like one of the most not important, oh my god, why are the right words not coming out of my mouth? But that was the most like enticing part of this book. I feel like more than like the crime aspect of it, it was more like the intimate parts of this book that were so intriguing to me. And it was honestly a faster read than I thought. Maybe I should like go around some of these books and like talk about some of the quotes that I liked in here. Oh, this was a good line. So what are you exactly? He asked her. What? I mean, you're not white clearly, he said, but all that shit in your face and the hair, it's got me a little confused. I'm a human being, Michelle said.